Should it start? I think it started. There we go. Yeah. All right. What's going on, guys? Welcome to our live edition here, Trade Deadline Report. We got a lot of stuff to cover so far. Obviously, I wanted to start here with the Tarik Skubal news from yesterday. Absolutely wild stuff. I can't believe the Dodgers get him for such a cheap deal. But honestly, it's only 2 months of Tarik Skubal, so I can't really complain on that front. There's a lot of other teams that could have gone out, tried to get him, and they didn't. And I think that's a fault to those other competitive teams like the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Mets, other teams that have a lot of money that are able to buy and spend at that level that the Dodgers can, but they choose not to because they don't want to go over the luxury tax, so they don't feel that it's necessary to their investors. What I would say to them is, you're not trying to win because the Dodgers have shown you the winning formula over these last couple of years. If you buy high and you go after these guys who are great players, eventually you just give yourself so much padding as far as talent-wise that there's no room for error there. And honestly, in my opinion, they do it better than anybody else. So you saw it with Mookie Betts, you saw it with Freddie Freeman, obviously now with Tarik Skubal, Yamamoto, Shohei Ohtani. I mean, the names on their roster will go down in the Hall of Fame as the greatest team, arguably, of all time. If you look at Hall of Famers on the roster, collection of talent, it's honestly uncalled for. It's unheard of. I've never seen anything like it. I don't think anybody has. Maybe the closest thing would be the Dynasty Yankees. But even that, I mean, it's really hard to compare because these guys are all being gotten, either they're traded for or they're at the top of their game and they're all just choosing to sign with the Dodgers. It's really unbelievable. And who knows, Skubal could potentially even sign with them next year. So there's not going to be baseball in 2027. There's just no way that it happens. And all honestly because this collective bargaining agreement that has existed since they negotiated it has been terrible for the league. And I think the Players Association has gotten what they wanted out of it with, you know, an unlimited salary cap and players getting more and more and more money. But the owners, especially the owners of the middle-class teams, don't feel like they're being equally represented and they don't have a fighting chance to win. And unfortunately, that seems to be the reality, right? It's hard for you as a team to compete in a situation when, hey, the Dodgers are going to go and offer a guy $50 million a year for 3 years. Oh, what are you going to do, right? What do you have to offer? A quarter of your payroll? You just can't do that. Most teams cannot compete with that. And even if you're seeing the Yankees, they don't want to because Steinbrenner knows his whole net worth is made up of the Yankees. If they start losing money because he's investing too much into the team, it's no dice for them. It's not good for him. So I think a lot of these owners are worried about their bottom line, and that's why you're going to see next year all of it's going to come to a head at that collective bargaining agreement. And I do think that unfortunately we're not going to get baseball in 2027. That's just the way I feel about it, unfortunately, and that's the way that it seems to be going here. So I just wanted to start by talking about that a little bit because I didn't get an opportunity to put a video out about Tarik Skubal. Obviously, it happened later in the evening. So again, a little bit unfortunate. I feel like the competitive imbalance is what it is, but unfortunately, that's the way that we have to go. I would have liked to see the Yankees compete in that situation. I would have liked to see other teams that have a better chance try and go after a guy like Tarik Skubal. You can't fault the Detroit Tigers for making that trade because I do think, honestly, if you look at what they got in return, while we might not agree and say, oh, well, it's Tarik Skubal, 2-time Cy Young, how could that be the return? It's only 2 months of him. And so if you're Detroit, you're looking to get anything at this point. Now, I don't know that they fielded the best possible offers, though. I mean, there were opportunities. I mean, we saw they asked for Cam Schlittler, Ben Rice, and Spencer Jones. That's an insane haul. Like, the Yankees would never make that trade, but then it seems like the Dodgers system is just so much above everybody else. It's a little suspect to me. It's a little question mark that I have about this deal potentially. So was it the commissioner saying, hey, you guys can't be doing that. We don't want to play baseball next year anyway. You know, figure something out. Get the guy to the Dodgers and we'll figure stuff out next year. Maybe that's what happened. I don't necessarily believe that to be the case, but it is just a crazy situation here with Tarik Skubal. Now, to pivot off of that, because nobody wants to talk about the negative stuff, I liked the move yesterday, and you guys saw the video that I put out about Luis Garcia Jr. Some of you saw that I put out a video titling it Luis Castillo before. That's my mistake there, obviously. He got traded the day before. But as far as Luis Garcia goes, just to kind of bring it back to the Yankees for a little bit here, I did like that move, and I talked about it in the video. I do think that it gives you a better opportunity with first base because Ben Rice hasn't necessarily, I mean, obviously he started as a catcher, and transition to first base, and he hasn't really improved at that position as a fielder. So I do think it gives you a natural first baseman who's able to play the position well, and he's got some position versatility as well. He could play in the middle of the infield if you need him to, or he could be your DH. So I don't think this move is as limiting as other people say. On the other hand, though, I don't think it's, it can't be the headline move for the Yankees. And now with, 55 minutes left to the trade deadline, what else are they going to do? What are they going to add, right? We thought about Luis Arias. He's now going to be a Philadelphia Philly. That moves Bryce Harper to the outfield, right? Pretty crazy stuff going on in the league right now. The Astros go and get Dalton Varsho. I mean, these are moves all over the map that are changing the way that this league is going to look as far as come 6 o'clock this afternoon. You're going to see teams who didn't necessarily have a fighting chance, or we didn't think we're going to be able to make a deep playoff push, and all of a sudden they could potentially be a World Series contender. And one team that I was talking about with a bunch of people I know, the White Sox, going after big at this deadline, going and buying a bunch of guys who, not necessarily super noteworthy, but they're players who are definitely going to improve their roster. And I didn't necessarily think that they were going to buy so hard. I did think that they were going to try and compete because of the nature of their season, how well they've been playing above their register, but they're going out there and they're making moves that I don't think any of us necessarily expected. So I can appreciate the White Sox trying to make the most of the situation that they're in right now. I do think that's a good decision by them to go and trade for a lot of guys. This live thing, it's killer, man. But yeah, as far as these moves the Phillies have made as well, they obviously traded for Brooks Raley too. I think that their main competition, it's not even the Dodgers, it's not even the Brewers. I think winning the division is so important for them. Morale-wise, you get that home field advantage potentially going throughout the playoffs. I think that's so crucial for them. If they can surpass the Braves and win that division, I think that's really what they're going for. So that interdivision rivalry right there, A1, crucial. In my opinion, best in the league as far as teams that we've seen. We talk about the Yankees and the Rays. The Rays, it's not a rivalry there. Unfortunately, they don't have the notoriety, the consistent talent, obviously, that those teams have. So, and they don't really have the fan base either. And I got killed by the Rays fans. They came out of the woodwork on my Rays video there. They were telling me all these crazy things about how you've never seen the Trop. You've never seen the Trop. I don't really know what to tell you. I've seen the Trop plenty watching the Yankees play, and I've never seen it full. But what I would say to them, and what I would say to most fans, honestly, is root for your team. Obviously, baseball is very different than most sports where it's so locally driven. The local coverage by the news doesn't get a lot of national media attention, and so those moves that really garner attention, like a Tarek Skubal move, or other moves that are going to be made by the top franchises, Yankees, Dodgers, Giants, that echelon of teams. Those moves garner national attention, and it brings more eyeballs to the sport. But if you're a team like the Tampa Bay Rays, I think the only way that you can break out of this, I don't want to say it's a funk, it's not a funk, but the only way you can break out of this stereotype about your team is to go out there and get better players. I think the biggest mistake that they've made is rebuilding the stadium in the same location in St. Pete. I didn't mention it in my Rays video, which I should have, but that is the worst place for a baseball team. The Tampa Bay Rays don't even play in Tampa Bay. You see how the fans respond and come after the Bucks. They love the Bucks in the NFL. And they love the Lightning too in the NHL. So I think that a big mistake by them has obviously been not moving the team into Tampa Bay, into the heart of that metro area there, and instead settling for St. Pete. Now, I'm not sure why they've done that. Maybe it's cheaper over there. It probably is. The ownership is cheap anyway. But in my opinion, I don't know. It's Tampa Bay. What can you do? Let's go through a little bit more of these moves. To talk about Arias a little bit more, once Garcia came to the Yankees, I didn't think that they were going to try and get him. Too similar of a move, in my opinion. So I do think that Philly making that trade, I think it's a great move for them. I'm just seeing here now Joe Adell going to the Angels, or going from the Angels to the Guardians, I should say. And then some other moves as well that are going to happen a little down the chain. So big picture here. We look at this trade deadline. Again, I don't want to bring it back to Tarek Skubal, but when you set the market like that for such a high quality player, do you believe that teams are going to go after guys that they otherwise would not have because the market for Skubal was so quote unquote low, right? That is a big question mark for me. I don't think that we're going to see, I'm sorry, I do think that we're going to see a lot more players traded, and we already have, honestly, than we do in previous years, and that's because the price has been set a little bit lower here. Taylor Ward going to the Mariners. Yankees are moving forward on a deal for Heliot Ramos, but it's pending medical review. So if the Yankees were to make that move, put him in the outfield, what does that give you? It gives you a little bit of versatility as far as what you do when Judge comes back. It doesn't make you rely on a Spencer Jones, doesn't make you rely on a Martian, and if they're making that trade, I would have to think that one of those pieces might be on their way out, which would suck a little bit, but, you know, especially with the Martian, he's got, you know, plenty of chances as of right now. We got a couple of comments here. Let's see. Are we going to see a classic Cashman blockbuster today? If by that you mean that he will call the moves, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and George Lombard, the A1 moves, if you expect that, my friends, I don't really know what to tell you. This is something crazy. Obviously, first time live here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. All 10 people in right now. Obviously appreciate it. Again, going back to Heliot Ramos, I do think that gives you a little bit more versatility. If you're the Yankees, you don't have to rely on Trent Grisham either, who's been on and off, hot and cold. And I think, honestly, if you look at the Yankees as a whole this year, it's really been the story of the pitching. The pitching has led this team through the trials and tribulations that they've had over the last 2 months. And they've been able to actually stem the tide a little bit and actually have a positive record now without Aaron Judge. As crazy as that sounds, that is the situation. Somebody in the chat here, Weirs, says something about bringing Doval back. That would be a nightmare scenario. We do not want that. We do not want that. Not a fan of that move at all. Thank you for sending him away to the Pirates. And actually, speaking of the Pirates, I was pretty surprised that they went and traded for Doval, and then immediately the next day go and trade for Luke Weaver. They're 3-7 in their last 10. They had a pretty good position as far as the wild card standing, you know, in that hunt in the National League. And then they go and make a trade for Camilo Doval. I'm like, are they selling? Are they selling? And then all of a sudden here, they think that he's a fixer-upper because they're going to get Luke Weaver, the best reliever in the league, in my opinion. Love Luke Weaver, but again, wild stuff as far as this league is going right now as we move closer and closer to the trade deadline. Now 48 minutes away. Again, going back here, Cashman is trying to platoon everyone to death. Well, if you want to blame anybody for the platoons, I guess you could blame it on Cashman. I would also say blame it on a little bit on Aaron Boone. He does, at the end of the day, write the line with Sut. He does get the orders from Cashman, let's be honest. So, again, let's kind of refocus here on the Yankees a little bit. Garcia, potentially Heliot Ramos now. Not enough, still, in my opinion, not enough. If those are the only moves that you're going to make, I don't believe that that's going to be enough to carry you through this trade deadline. We need a guy. We need a guy. Please get a catcher. I'm begging you. I'm begging you. I can't see Austin Wells in my lineup in October. I can't have that happen. That would be honestly devastating. As much as I love Austin Wells and his personality, Wells eats burritos or whatever it is, he's a great guy, great locker room guy, and obviously he helps the pitchers a lot. He's a great catcher of the baseball. But as far as his hitting, I mean, he started obviously below league average at 220, 210, 200, and now, I mean, 150. Like, it's really crazy the fall off. He is one of the worst hitting catchers in the history of the league with this many at-bats to his name right now. Honestly, cannot believe that that's the way that it has been. This is a one hell of a trade deadline so far, and we still got a little bit under an hour to go. Moving around the league now. Mets, total sellers, okay? They trade away Clay Holmes as well. Obviously, we talked about Brooks Raley. What happened, guys? What happened to the New York Mets? Devastating stuff. After such high expectations last year, starting off whatever it was, 45-20 or something like that, and then missing the playoffs. And then now they fall even farther down. They're 20 games under 500. They're on a 95 loss pace. It's really sad. Here we go, another trade here. Braves are trading Eli White to the Red Sox for Uberstein. This is something special here. The Braves making a move. Like I said, it's going to come down to, in that National League East, Braves, Phillies. Because those two teams, in my opinion, are the only two teams. And I got a lot of flack of this as well from the Brewers fans as well. I didn't think that their team could compete with the Dodgers, with the Phillies, with the Braves. And the reason I said that, and to talk to them a little bit, The reason I said that was because I didn't think that those teams, or that the Brewers could compete with those teams, and I do believe that their hitting hasn't been good enough. And the reason I say that, not because their guys have not been performing as of late, but because I believe in a body of work, right? The Dodgers have guys who have been performing for 10 plus years. All throughout that lineup, scattered throughout that lineup, have been performing on the Dodgers, have been performing in the postseason, and obviously winning in those last couple of years. The Phillies have been consistently a postseason team. So have the Braves. And not to say that the Brewers haven't, but I do feel like when they lost to the Mets in 24, it kind of hit them a little bit. And I don't know that they fully recovered from that. If you ask anybody in that locker room, of course they're not going to say that. But I do believe as an organization, that's got to be a little bit in the back of your mind, like, hey, we had a really good team that year and we got bounced in the wild card round. So I do just want to say to the Brewers fans, it's nothing against your roster. And obviously, they're having a great season right now. They've got one of the best records in the league. But the question of the matter is, I feel like the Tampa Bay Rays with them. I have that feeling. Mizorowski's amazing, but I just have that feeling when it comes to the Milwaukee Brewers now. This is, once again now, we got 44 minutes left at this deadline. Let's talk a little bit about Adley Rutschman, because that was one of the guys that we were talking about as far as a guy who could come to the Yankees. And not to make it all about the Yankees all the time, but again, they really need a catcher. And so I thought, if they're not going to trade within the division to the Yankees, they're never going to trade within the division to anybody else. And then they go and trade him to the Red Sox. And that was really surprising to me. I couldn't believe that when I saw the news come across earlier, that it was under medical review, and then now it goes all the way through. Shocking a little bit, but I think Adley finds himself in a good position. The Red Sox have been performing so well. If you asked us a month and a half ago where the Red Sox would be, we'd be saying in the depths of hell. I mean, they were shot all to hell. Their season was dead, in the water, 15 games under 500 or 12 games under 500. And everybody in Boston was calling for John Henry's head. They were saying, listen, sell the team, sell the team. You brought us those World Series before, but that doesn't mean anything to us now, because that is wild stuff. Here we go. Someone's saying he's going to be traded in division. I was not that person, just want to clarify. But Adley Rutschman, again, is a great move for any team that goes out there and gets him. Why? Switch hitter. Why? Great catcher. Pitchers love him. But I think most importantly is, he was a number 1 overall pick. I think we forget that sometimes when we talk about guys who have come up the register and haven't necessarily performed. We just, baselessly throw their value and say, hey, this guy's a 250 hitter. No, we believe that Adley Rutschman could be one of those great players in the league. And I think, in Baltimore, yeah, he fell a little bit short of that expectation. He's still a 3-time All-Star. And I'd like to see what he's able to do with the Red Sox now. I do believe that he's going to have, a great career going forward. And obviously they have him under a couple more years of control. So I do think great move for the Red Sox and the Orioles as well, because, I think it's a good time for them to start selling some of their guys that they would have to pay. They would have been in a tough spot either way now. We got 42 minutes going till the trade deadline. Gattuso over here says we should have brought back Weaver. You could not be more right. That was my move, number 1, A1. That's what we want here. Okay, they're close to acquiring Heliot Ramos, and Henry LaLane is believed to be the primary prospect in the trade. If that is your primary prospect in that trade, hallelujah, because that means you're not giving up one of those 4 guys, basically Martian, Spencer Jones, Lombard, or LeGrand. Hey, those are my big 4. And I mean, the Martian isn't really even a prospect anymore, but those are my big 4 guys that I wouldn't want to get rid of. As far as going back to Weaver, I'm a little heartbroken. I wish they would have done it. I honestly, saying this, don't think it was that likely for them to do it, but I do wish that they had, because he's just a dog, man. He's one of the best pitchers that I've ever seen. I tried to emulate him in my own game as well, learned his changeup. He's a killer. He's a killer, man. And that year and a half, 2 years that he had with the Yankees, where he kind of redefined his career, because before that he was a starter and he became one of the best relievers in the league. That was special to see somebody do that and make all those changes. That is great stuff, in my opinion. Diego over here says Marcelo Meyer is gone. Yeah, that's a guarantee. It's a guarantee. Giants receive Miguel Menendez. The Robbie Ray trade. This is actually something that reminds me of the Yankees again. Again, not to be all about the Yankees. But with Robbie Ray, this is a guy who, left-handed arm, power fastball, but didn't really translate over in San Francisco. He had a couple kind of good year, bad year, good year, bad year, good year, bad year. Reminds me a lot of Carlos Rodon. We got a trade alert here. Let's see what the move is going to be. Yes, Marcelo Meyer from the Red Sox for reliever Eric Miller. Now, not really shocking. I don't think necessarily this is a great difference-making move, but I do think that the Red Sox needed to make a couple of shifts and adjustments there. You bring a guy in, you got to send a guy out. It's not really surprising to me. Bringing it back now to the New York Yankees, the team that matters the most to us. My plea to Brian Cashman is this. Right now you've made 2 trades. Where will you end up at the end of this? Are you going to be known as the guy who once again relied on his guys to get healthy, or are you going to be known as the guy who went out there and made the moves necessary to improve the team and the roster coming up to this postseason? I mean, again, how many more years of Aaron Judge's prime are we going to sit through that could potentially be wasted? And right now, the team is staying afloat. They're trying their hardest to get him back and make a push for this postseason. And for them to be over 500 in the time that he hasn't been here, and honestly, 1, that being the case, and 2, with how badly they were in the month of June, early July, like they have fought, and I commend them for that. And I commend Aaron Boone for not, blaming his players in situations where they haven't been performing. Yeah, the lineup's been really, really weak, but yet still, time and time again, the pitching shows up and they back up that offense and say, hey guys, listen, I know it's tough for you right now. I know that basically half the roster is gone, but we got to go out there and fight. We're going to go out there and compete, and hopefully you guys can put up a couple of runs and you can lead us to a victory here. So shout out to the Yankee pitching. They've been great all year, both the bullpen and the starting pitching. I wanted Luke Weaver kind of as a, bring the guy home. I didn't necessarily think they needed an arm like that. I do think that with them sending out Duvall, I do think they're going to likely go get at least one arm. I wouldn't be surprised by that. I heard some people saying that they should just convert the starters who are at the back end of that rotation into relievers during the postseason. But what I would say to that is what happened with Will Warren last year against the Blue Jays, where he got absolutely rocked by a guy named Vlad Guerrero. I'm not a huge fan of changing guys' roles. I mean, Weathers has done it before. He's been a reliever before, so I'm not necessarily against that with him. But as far as Rodon, Will Warren, I'm not a huge fan of doing something like that. Now we have the full situation here. Adley, Jake Rogers, cash considerations, and they send away Narvaez, Anthony Ianson, and Kyson Witherspoon, and some other people, and more cash. Player to be named later. Oh, this is wonderful. What are my thoughts on Jazz Chisholm's BBL? I'll give you my thoughts on Jazz Chisholm. Very lazy baseball player, but has a lot of hustle. And those things might be counterintuitive and a little contradictory, but I'll explain it right now. The way that he fields the ball so nonchalantly pisses me off so much because his errors piss me off. The way he takes swings at the plate so lazily, his at-bats really anger me. But then he's a decent base runner at the same time, so he has a little bit of hustle in him. And he's obviously a great athlete. My issue with him, again, is just that internal register where he believes that he's going to be one of the greatest players of all time. 50-50 this year is what he predicts before the season, and then he gives us this. That's rough. That's rough for me. I'm not a huge fan of him. And again, this move with Garcia gives you that versatility to potentially make a switch there. Away from Jazz Chisholm, if he stops performing, and he's not really been performing, but if he really takes a big decline, you can say, hey, Garcia, you're going to go over to second base. We're going to keep Ben Rice at shortstop. I don't think that's how it's going to start. I would say that Ben Rice, did I say Ben Rice at shortstop? Ben Rice at first base. I would say Ben Rice is probably going to start as a DH. Garcia will be your first baseman. Jazz will be your second baseman. And hopefully they bring up Lombard to play short. Because Lombard, every thing that we've seen from him has indicated that he's going to be one of the best athletes on the team. Shout out Diego. And 2, he's just a ball player. Yesterday 4 for 5, getting hits all over the map, gap to gap. He has the power as well. He's got the speed. We got another trade alert here. Milwaukee Brewers have acquired right-handed reliever Antonio Senzatella from the Rockies. It's whatever move. I don't really care. that's how I feel. Again, the Brewers don't move me at all. Back to the Yankees, though. Lombard has shown us basically everything that he's going to be one of those guys. Now, we said this about Spencer Jones, and he's honestly in his second stint has had great plate appearances, great at-bats, hitting the ball a lot better. In the Chicago series specifically, played a huge role in them winning a couple of those games. My biggest overarching concern is, and I talked about this in the Yankees video that I had, why would you ever just rely again, the same way that you did in 2022, on a rookie to be your shortstop? Going into the postseason, after barely any playing time, they threw Oswald Peraza at shortstop. They threw Oswaldo Cabrera at third base without them having any real playing time into the ALCS. That was one of the most insane things I've ever seen. Desperation from a baseball team because IKF was performing so bad and he wasn't fielding and he wasn't hitting and he was doing nothing. I don't want to end up in that situation again. That's why I thought that the simpler way to go about this would be to get a CJ Abrams, get a Corey Seager, get a shortstop who's going to make a true, real difference. But I don't think they're going to go that route. I do think it's more likely, unfortunately, that you're going to see a Lombard who is going to end up being your shortstop. Because you can't go with Austin Wells catching, McMahon playing third base. And I'm fine with McMahon playing third base, but you can't have him, Austin Wells, Volpe all in the lineup at the same time. And you definitely can't have that after this trade deadline. So again, Yankees go get a catcher. Must happen. And then obviously decide we're going to do a shortstop. But a 650 OPS between Volpe and Caballero is not going to stand. It can't. It can't stand that way. McMahon actually shows up in certain moments, and his fielding is so much of an asset and has been such a dark hole over at third base for so long for the Yankees that I like him just staying there. I think he's great at the bottom of the lineup. He does what he does. I'm okay with him going like 1 for 4 and, you know, maybe he hits a home run or maybe he hits a bloop single, has an RBI single over here. Like, he's not in the lineup for his offense. But when you have 3 guys at the bottom of your lineup who you're saying are in the lineup for defense, that's a problem. He's the one guy that I would keep as a starter going into the postseason. But those other 2 guys have got to go. Let's see here. Garcia is not going to play second. He was god awful there in the past. Well, thank you for that information once again. What I would say to that is, do you trust Aaron Boone? Do you trust him to do the right thing and not play him there? Do you trust him to keep Jazz at second base? And again, the only scenario in which I had him playing there would be if Jazz had his production fall off a cliff from where it's at now, which is not that high. But if it were to fall off a cliff from where it's at now, I think that would potentially be the situation where you would see something like that happen. As we move a little bit around the league here, the Astros trading for Dalton Varsho. Is this going to be another situation where they're going to make a playoff push similar to they did in 23, 24, where they have, Altuve on his last legs again? What is that team going to look like going forward? Jeremy Pena was a name that got thrown around a little bit as far as somebody who could get traded. It looks like they're not actually selling. They might be a little bit buying here. Here we go. This is a wonderful comment here. I'm bringing Joe Girardi out of the booth to catch. He would probably be better than Wells and company. I do agree with that. Girardi, actually, I do enjoy his commentary on the games. I do think that he's a better option, in my opinion, than a David Cohn, who gets a little bit annoying from time to time. I always liked Paul O'Neill. I always liked Michael Kay, contrary to the majority of baseball listeners. I do think the Yankees actually do have a good broadcast booth. But I would say, for me specifically, me personally, I'm not a huge fan of David Cohn, but I would say Michael Kay should be the manager. This is a good thing. This is a good thing. Aaron Boone, that's another question mark that going forward could be answered. But again, about Joe Girardi, I do like him in the booth for the Yankees, and honestly, I've liked their booth a lot. A lot of people say actually the Mets have the best broadcast booth. I would not be one to say that. I actually prefer the Yankees, and I prefer a couple other teams as well. The homer with the Dodgers, Joe Davis. That's also something actually that I wanted to discuss. How do you guys feel about him? Every time he's on a national broadcast, he shits on every team except the LA Dodgers. It's actually kind of crazy. You know, he's talking about, oh, well, you could see the difference between these 2 franchises, how the Dodgers are here, and everybody else. Like, dude, it's obvious you're a homer. We know that you are the commentator for the team. I don't appreciate this. Who is the M in M&V Sports Talk? Every time I tune in, I just see V. What I would say to that is, bring me M. No, M has been unavailable as of recent. Schedules are a little tougher for us both right now. Still want to get content out there for you guys, so I have been taking the brunt of that work, but that is what it is. There we go. Last thing I'll speak on is the difference in front offices between the Knicks and Yankees. Knicks get to the Eastern Conference Finals and don't win and fire the entire staff. The Yankees lose in the playoffs every year. Very good point, Harry. What I would say to that is I actually do think that the Yankees have an interesting opportunity here to do something similar to the Knicks did. The Knicks this year, the East was so wide open, in my opinion. You didn't have Hallie and the Pacers. The Celtics, they obviously performed above what we thought they were going to, but they were expected to have a down year. And then nobody expected Detroit to really be a serious contender, in my opinion. So the Knicks were supposed to be the favorite coming out of the East, and they took advantage of that situation. I think the Yankees should be the favorite in this situation as well, and they should be doing that going forward, and they should be going forward to be this. Guy is chugging his water right now. You guys don't understand. To talk for 30 minutes straight like this is it's more difficult than that actually looks. The water is a necessity, I would say. 30 minutes until the trade deadline, because this is going to be something interesting here. Game on the line, who would you rather have at the plate to deliver, Austin Wells or me in slow pitch softball? Well, it depends who you're asking. Are you asking me from 2 months ago, or are you asking me from now? Because me from now, I might as well be Austin Wells. It's pretty bad, but before, we had a bit of a good stretch there. Again, 30 minutes away here from this trade deadline. A lot of moves have been made so far. Again, the Mets, Freddie Peralta, what happened, man? What happened? I mean, the ace for Milwaukee. Again, this is why I say about Milwaukee. It's just, you don't know what you're going to get with them. But he goes from being the ace with Milwaukee all the way to being pretty shit with the Mets. But the Mets do that to people. They do that with Juan Soto. They do that with Bo Bichette, who was another terrible acquisition for them. They give all these guys so much money, and it never ends up amounting to much. That is definitely not water. I can assure that it is water. Perhaps I wish it was not water. But yeah, so the Yankees are still nearing that deal to acquire Heliot Ramos. Not officially official. Not done as they say, but it's almost there. There's more of that water for you guys. Again, here, 28 minutes away from this trade deadline. Drop some more things you'd like me to talk about in this chat below. Again, another thing I actually wanted to bring up, if we bring it back to Tarek Skubal, and I want to actually ask you guys this now, do you think that this is going to be, what comes out of this situation? Do you see a salary floor, salary cap? Do you see just a salary cap? Do you see no cap as it is right now? I think that's the least likely scenario. So I'm asking you guys what you think of that situation. Me personally, I think the only way the Players Association agrees to a salary cap is if there's a salary floor. And to come to that negotiation, to come to that agreement, is going to be so difficult. And I do think that's why we're not going to have anybody playing baseball in 2027. Talk about Marcelo Mayer trade and what that means for the Sox. It means nothing for the Sox. Okay, that means nothing to me. Okay, I don't really care about them. Have we not learned this? Fuck Boston, beat LA. No, as far as the Red Sox go, again, I would say, let's pull up Mayer's stats actually this year, because I do think it is important if we contextualize this trade a little bit. 220, 3 homers, 22 RBIs. This is not a sell move, right? Because again, it's a guy who had high hopes last year, and he just hasn't really panned out now. 23-year-old, I like them sending him away. What are you giggling at? Giggle shits. A lot, actually. But yeah, I don't think this Marcelo Mayer trade is really anything wild. I do like it for the Red Sox to get rid of him. They needed to get rid of somebody anyway, so it is what it is. Now, is that potentially them opening something up? What are they going to do? What are they going to go after? I'm not sure. I didn't think necessarily that it was going to be a need for them to have another infielder, but in this situation, I guess they're super buying right now, as I believe they should, because they've been so hot recently. Again, we talked about it a month and a half ago. You never would have thought that they were going to be in this position, but they kind of do this every year. Like, they have that slow start, and then it's actually almost the opposite of the Yankees. They have a slow start. They play really bad. They play the Yankees. They play really good, win the series, and then it turns around their season to the point where now they're flirting with a wild card spot. Now they're flirting with the division. I mean, they're only 5 games back. This is, I feel like the Red Sox playbook, and it's what actually sends management into the situation of saying, oh, we don't have to make any changes. We don't have to make any adjustments, because they end up making the playoffs every year or every other year, and they're content with that. And I think that's what actually has the fans a little bit more frustrated. Do I think we need Kamala in the clubhouse like we did Trump last year to create a spark? To that I would say, if you wanted to do a little Democrat-Republican there, one for one, eye for an eye, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing there. Maybe it'll be good luck because last year they went nowhere when Trump did that. So maybe they should bring Kamala into the clubhouse to talk because we need something. We need a spark. And according to Cashman, that might necessarily just be bringing Aaron Judge back and waiting for Stan to come off the IL. That can't be the case. It cannot be the case. Obviously, he made this move now for Heliot Ramos. That's a good situation. They made the move for Luis Garcia, good situation. Need a catcher, please. Catcher, we got 25 minutes. Bring a catcher to New York City. And if it goes to the Mets, I'm going to fucking explode because that would be fucking sickening. But, again, the water is actually fucking insane. Again, appreciate you guys tuning in here, all 11 people that are in. It does mean a lot, honestly, because doing this stuff, I don't really believe that anybody is necessarily watching this most of the time, but hey, I appreciate you guys tuning in. And yeah, we'll comment on Foster Griffin. Where did he go? Because I didn't see that pop up. Astros have discussed. Do we have a location for this guy? I'm not seeing anything. Drop it in the chat where he ends up. And let me know. Of course, dude, thank you. Appreciate you, Chrissy Gatt. Again, to bring this back now, we got 24 minutes. Let's talk about the Mets here. Well, Mr. Bouchus, I would say to you, you're a little late. I already talked about the Mets, but what I'll tell you is fuck the Mets. No, in reality, I think the Mets' biggest issue is the chemistry, and I talked about that in my Mets video. I don't think that bringing Juan Soto was the right decision. Now, of course, hey, you have the opportunity to bring one of the greatest players of all time onto your roster. Yeah, you want to do that. But what they did in giving him a suite and doing all these things for his family and almost making it so that he was the captain when you had your de facto A1 guy in Lindor there, and you're making him almost the little brother. I mean, anybody, any one of us would feel slighted by that. And I do think that it created a bit of a divide in the dugout. When you have him, you have Alonso, who already, they were opposing sides. Nimmo, it was fractured last year, and I think those guys leaving left it with just Juan Soto and Lindor this year, and it's way off. Okay, here to the Guardians, actually. I like this move for the Guardians. Again, if we look at his stats, this is the guy, this is the rookie from who's 30 years old. Yeah, this guy, he's a player. I saw him pitch in the All-Star game. What a story, what a situation. He is, as far as the Guardians are concerned, and again, we talk about the AL Central, it's wide open, there's always not a lot of competition, but within that division, they play it tight. I mean, they play to each other's levels basically every year. 88 to 90 to 92 wins is like the high tier for them, and then that 85, 84, 86 range is where they kind of sit usually. But for the Guardians, I do actually like this move. Tells me they're buying. I see that a lot. The Mets buy known names without an actual plan. This is kind of the situation that I was alluding to. The idea of having Juan Soto on your team, I think, is actually better than the reality of having Juan Soto on your team. And that's why I was actually okay with the Yankees letting him walk. Because where was he going to play at 50, 60, $70 million a year that would make it worth it? He's just a hitter. And I hate to dwindle down his career to just, hey, he's just a hitter. But in reality, even though he's an all-time great hitter, he doesn't field well. He base runs okay. He can't throw for shit. He hits well. He hits really well to an all-time level. But he doesn't hit well enough, in my opinion. He would still be the number 2 hitter on the Yankees. And he would be getting paid twice as much as Aaron Judge. That never rested well with me. I don't believe in that. Isn't trading our number 5 prospect for a shitty platoon bat terrible? Cash Cuck needs to go. Cash Cuck, like I told you earlier, great nickname. I like that a lot. We got another trade here. This is just Araya's details. Marty Gare and Ramon Marquez going the other way. Again, I like that Araya's trade a lot. as far as Cashman goes, I think he gets a little bit more flack than he deserves. It is hard, as long as we will ever watch the sport, it is hard to get to the postseason every year. I don't care how much money you have. Giants are an example of that. Padres are an example of that. Obviously, the Mets are an example of that. The Blue Jays are an example of that. It is still hard to field a roster that you think all those guys are going to push you to a championship or to push you into the postseason, and then you come out of the gate slow. And you don't know, at the end of it, you don't know how guys are going to perform when they get into your situation, when they change locker rooms, all that stuff. So you have to give Cashman some credit, but then at the same time, we can still be critical of him and say, hey, listen, you've kind of been doing, not the bare minimum, but you've been doing as close to the bare minimum as you could get, because some of those moves have not panned out. Now, Bednar, I think, was a great move from last year, and it ended up working out. Now he's our closer this year. But then on the flip side of that, you got Duvall and Bird. They turned out to be nothing. Now, 1 out of 3 on the success rate's not great, but I don't know. For Cashman, my belief is just you have what it takes. You have all the pieces. You have the centerpiece, and that's the most important part. You have the star. You have Aaron Judge. But what are you going to do to build around him? What are you going to do to build around him? The team as it's currently constructed, I think it has a lot of talent. You know, when you talk about Bellinger, you talk about even Trent Grisham is a great player, but he can't, he's not a leadoff hitter. You know, we have guys playing and expecting to be in positions that they never should be in. And that is my biggest frustration when it comes to Cashman is we throw these guys together and we say, hey, figure it out. You know, you got to play out of position. You got to play out of the order. You're not supposed to be up here. You're going to play down here. Jazz Chisholm's batting fourth. Some get. What is going on? In what world does he a four-hitter? In what world does he a four-hitter? Judge going to the Dodgers, 1-for-1 for Emmett Sheehan next year. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. We got a lot of Emmett Sheehan lovers in this chat. I don't know. Cashman, it's always conflicted for me. I think I trust him and like him a little bit more than most of the fan base. At the same time, though, I am a little bit fed up with the situation. I mean, we have, or we should have, the highest payroll. We have the best team as far as the history of the team, and we have the best fans. You know, people show up for our fucking team. Every single game I go to, that stadium's fucking packed. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to spend more money if you're them. And I do think part of it is that they've been wrapped up in a little bit of bad contract work as we're here, under 20 minutes left to go. You know, you pay Rodon to be a number 2, and I talked about this with some people. I think I actually, people disagree with me on this. But you pay Rodon to be a number 2, he's making $30 million a year, and then all of a sudden he's your number 5. And yeah, okay, it's cool that he could be your number 5. Like, oh my God, Carlos Rodon, he could be your number 5. But he's still making $30 million. Like, he's making $30 million to give you a fucking 4 ERA. What does that get you? What does that get you? So I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of keeping Stanton on the books for so long. I love playoff Stanton, but like, I keep seeing the video of him like jogging to third base, and that's how he's been out this whole time. Like, it's actually crazy. The guy has like the most fragile muscles, bones. I don't know what it is. We got another trade alert. Jeff Hoffman to the Twins. Now, this is interesting. This is interesting because that might mean that they're not going to trade Jeffers. Jeff Hoffman to the Twins. The AL Central is buying heavy this year. All these guys think they have a chance after the. You know what it might be? Because the Tigers traded School. Everybody thinks they got a chance in that division, but they were already kind of drowning a little bit. I don't know. But I see here on the screen he's warming up a little bit. That's nice. That's interesting. That's interesting. That actually hurts a little bit because then we might not get Jeffers. Who might we get? It might be Hunter Goodman at that point, who's a very high strikeout guy, but that's okay. Seen some rumors for Stevenson. Yeah, I saw that as well. I don't love that. Again, if we look at his career stats, Stevenson, I mean, this year he's hitting 256. But I think more than anybody else, I do like to look at a guy's history because I think that's important when you're evaluating a trade, evaluating a player. Like, yeah, one guy might have a great year, and I think this might be the case with Garcia. Like, he's having a great year this year, but he's had a little bit of an up and down career. Like, you don't know how he's going to adjust to this new environment. He might have just been getting comfortable in San Francisco, or in Washington, San Francisco. What the fuck am I saying? He might have just been getting comfortable in Washington, and now all of a sudden, he gets traded to the Yankees. It's a big change. It's a big difference. Okay, I mean, Stevenson's playing kind of to to his expectations here. I don't hate the idea of it. Listen, anything is a fucking improvement over Austin Wells. So as long as they make this trade, I'll be happy. Okay? As long as they get somebody, I'll be okay, because Austin Wells is just so fucking bad. But then again, you know, this team, we went from having Starlin Castro playing second base, then Glaber, you know, Ronald Torres, I was talking about him earlier today. We went through all of that. Now we have Jazz. You know, third base, we had Donaldson playing over there, Peraza, you know, Chase Headley. This is like, when you talk about this team and you compare it to how the Dodgers have approached building their roster, who have just gone and gotten the best guy at their position every single time they can, it's really mind-boggling. Like, we've had so many guys who are below average in the fucking league at their positions. It's actually a travesty if you think about it. I just like Ben Rice now as he is. I don't really want to mess with what we have with him. I think the ship has sailed by now. I agree. I don't think necessarily that they'll move him back to catcher. I don't think that's going to happen. I do think he's kind of going to be cornered into that DH spot. Come playoff time, or postseason time, it's going to be interesting. If Stanton's back, you know, who's going to get the burn? Who's going to get the burn? I think you have to give it to Rice, but then Boone might be saying, hey, we got postseason Stanton again. You know, you might want to fucking throw him in there. I don't think that would be wise, maybe against lefties, because Rice has not hit lefties well at all. But then you might as well do Goldschmidt. So we're going to have to see how Stan, if he comes back from this injury in a due time, how he performs in the games that he's playing in. But yeah, I don't think necessarily, I mean, again, if we look at Stanton, what is he making? $27 million a year? Salaries, 25 for the next two, 29 this year. The production, since he came here, it just hasn't been. Now, that's fine. Like, he had that great season, 2017, and we went and got him after he wins an MVP. It's a great move. Like, they didn't trade anything that mattered. They traded Starlin Castro. So, like, it is a good move at the end of the day. But my problem, again, lies with the whole, we're just kind of complacent now. We have this guy on our books who's, like, consistently okay, and that's it. And you just hope for him to turn it around in the postseason. But you have to get to the postseason. You have to win the division. Like, you have to get to that point. Nathan Eovaldi will not be traded today. It's interesting. I don't see that as a crazy situation. Not truly surprising. There we go. School will throw in some more here. Go check out MLB Network's coverage of this, because it is really good. Stay watching me. But MLB Network, you know, for all the faults that they've had over their history, I think they do a great job of covering the trade deadline. They do a good job of bringing in people from all over the league to talk about this stuff. I always like Tom Verducci, Harold Reynolds. So they do a good job of covering that stuff there. Not as good as me, but they do a good job. Again, to bring this back now to the New York Yankees. We got 12 minutes left. Where's our catcher, man? Where is our catcher? Please, man. I don't want him catching. I was just saying that's how bad Stevenson is at catching. Yes. In reality, that could be true. But I'm okay with having a bad catcher behind. Like, what is necessarily bad behind the plate? What does that look like? Is it Gary Sanchez levels of bad? If that's the case, there's a discussion to be had if that trade is worth making. But if it's anything above that, then I'm fine with it. I mean, you go from Wells, who's above league average. He's obviously a great catcher. If you get league average production catching-wise, fielding-wise, then I'm fine with it, because his offense is just going to be so much better. Where is Mike? I'm getting worried. It's actually a good question. I've been getting worried as well. No, in all seriousness, Mike and I, our schedules have not been super compatible recently. He's been picking up more work. I've been picking up more work as well. It's just easier for me to record here where I'm at, obviously the studio location. So I have all the stuff. It's much easier for me to do. No fault of Mike. Red Sox finishing 1 in the AL. Slower roll a little bit, but I wouldn't actually see it as a totally unreasonable and unrealistic scenario. They've played so well over these last 2 months now. I can't fault you for thinking that way, honestly. It's actually discouraging because it shows you what a team can do when they don't have all their guys. Like Crochet has not played, and yet still they're here making these moves, making these trades, and getting to this situation where they felt they could do that, where they felt that they could push for the postseason. That's a credit to the guys in that locker room who said, hey, this isn't going to be a dead year. This is going to be a year we're going to go and compete. And I think that's good. Roman Empire hasn't played either. That's true. Roman Anthony, interesting situation with him. Where will he fit back into that roster? He'll probably still end up being the 3-hitter or the 1-hitter, however they want to do it. But again, the Red Sox have done a great job of turning things around. So I can't fault you for feeling that way, that they might end up at the top. And again, if we look at that AL East, I believe they're 5 back now. Yeah, 5 back of the Rays, 2.5 behind the Yankees. Too busy partying with Marcelo Mayer. Yes. But again, I mean, from the point that they were, I think it was like 35 and 47, and now they're 60 and 51. 25 and 4 in 29 games. I mean, that's historic. I think their month of July, they had the best record in the franchise's history. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable stuff. Again, thank you guys for all tuning in here. I appreciate all 10 of you that we've had in and out. Means a lot, obviously, as we keep going here. Trudging toward the deadline now, less than 9 minutes to go. I'm getting a little scared. I'm getting a little scared that we're not going to make a move. But, oh, here we go, trade alert. Come on. Come on. Lars Nootbaar to the D-backs. Yeah. Guys, this might not happen. Listen, you're going to get the flurry of moves right before at like 5:59, 6 o'clock. We're going to trickle through 6:01, 6:02, 6:03. We're going to get those moves, but I'm really starting to get worried that a move's not going to come. And that would potentially mean that Ben Rice ends up catching. If the Yankees don't make a move and they say, Austin Wells has been so bad, that might mean that Ben Rice ends up catching because they want Stanton to be their DH going forward. And or Goldschmidt, depending on situation. That would be, it's not the worst scenario, but for them to be that complacent is, again, it's just relying on guys to come back and play the way that they've played before. I don't like that. I don't like that. Looking at the wild card here, 6.5 ahead, 4 up, and then the Guardians bringing up the rear. But it's Guardians, Twins, Rangers, and Mariners all in that kind of contention area. Yanks prioritize defense at catcher so much. This is true. And it is important. It is important. I mean, if you've played the sport, you know how valuable it is if you're a pitcher to have a good catcher. But at the same time, we wouldn't be saying this about Austin Wells. Like, we wouldn't be so heavy on getting a guy at catcher if you didn't have Volpe hitting fucking 210 and McMahon hitting 215. Like, those two guys being in the lineup with Wells, in conjunction with, you have bottom 3 like that, that's why we end up in this situation. Yanks should pick up the donut, the light catcher. I agree. Bring me Lucas. Bring me Lucas. Cashman National sits on his thumb day. It's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it. Somebody said to me earlier, actually, that he was going to make all of his moves right before the deadline happens. We got about 6.5 minutes to go here. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. I wouldn't be surprised if he said, hey, guys, listen, I got to do something now. Let's go. Yeah, trade me Keeper Ruiz or something. Like, we got 5 minutes. This is tough. This is tough. I'm not sure what to make of this deadline if they don't make. I mean, if their 2 moves are Heliot Ramos and Luis Garcia, I mean, they're additions. They didn't take away from the MLB roster other than trading Duvall, but that's not taking away. That's really an improvement. Like, I won't be negative on the moves, but I'll be negative on the fact that he didn't do anything else. Like, that would be insane to me. I won't accept that, honestly. I think that's, I don't know if it's a fireable offense. I mean, it kind of depends on the outlook and how the season ends up going. But I would say that that's a big problem, in my opinion. I can't have that bottom 3 playing in the postseason. Like, it really is a problem. And then if you bring in Rosario, he's going to say, oh, Rosario can platoon with McMahon. That's going to be his, like, throw-in. Rosario hits 240, guys. Like, we got 5 minutes to go. I'm not feeling too confident here. about them making a move. I was a lot more confident when Adley was still on the market. And honestly, this Ryan Jeffers thing has kind of flipped on me. All of a sudden now, because they went after Jeff Hoffman, I really don't think they're going to trade him. And maybe that's because nobody wants to make that trade because he just came back from injury. Maybe that's why, but I don't know. I don't know. Again, Heliot Ramos, interesting move, but nothing that moves the needle for me as far as where they can go. Now, again, thank you guys for tuning in here for this trade deadline special that we're doing here. First live. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it as well. Any way that we can improve it, please drop it, let us know. And injured Jeffers over Wells, yes, of course. But Cashman will say, oh, the risk, and he'll do nothing about it now. 4.5 minutes to go as we sit in commercial here, which means that moves are coming. I don't have Twitter open, so if you guys see anything, drop it in the comments. Rage bait would not be accepted. Please don't do that. But yeah, this is, if I have to grade it for the Yankees as of right now, because they haven't done anything yet. So as of right now, if I had to grade this for the Yankees, it's a C-, right? You didn't take away from the roster, but you certainly did not add, and you didn't address the biggest problem with the team. That would be a major failure on Brian Cashman's part, in my opinion. If you look at it, let's talk about the other team in New York, the Mets. I think it's an A. I mean, they traded all of the guys that they could trade, really, minus Lindor, which would be interesting. But they traded all those guys, and I can appreciate the situation that they're in. I do think that, like, again, if you believe that you can build for next year, I don't think you're trading a Luke Weaver. So they don't think that they're going to be competitive next year, which is really disappointing because, you know, you have Juan Soto, you have Lindor on your roster. Vientos, he was supposed to be the future too. Like, they got so many guys who were supposed to be the future. Carson Benj has played really well. AJ Ewing, like, they have people who you could believe in, but they just haven't played up to that standard. We got 4 minutes to go. 3 minutes now. This is getting rough. This is getting rough right here. Did I mention Tyrone Taylor as well? I think I mentioned the trade with Clay Holmes, but Tyrone Taylor goes in that trade as well. A good move for the Cubs because he's been playing basically like Babe Ruth since he came back from injury. Although I did go watch him play and he went 0 for, which is not great. I am done. Where is Goodman? Yes, this is a serious issue. This is a serious issue. As we watch this coverage dwindle down, 2.5 minutes to go, guys. This is, I mean, is there anything in the pipeline here? Anything at the deep, deep parts of Twitter that's going to tell us where this guy is coming from? I'm just not seeing it, guys. I'm not seeing it. I mean, again, that means George Lombard is the big move. Aaron Judge is the big move. Stanton is the big move. Like that's fucked. That's fucked to do that to us again. But here we are. Here we are. Guardians got Nathaniel Lowe. Stokes bomb, love to see it. Appreciate that. Ali Sanchez in October. Yes, that throw down to third base. I thought he played himself off the team, but I guess not. This is crazy. 1.5 minutes to go. If we don't get a buzzer beater here, that's crazy. That's crazy. I can't believe that this is the situation that we're in right now, guys. I can't believe that. But, oh man. Bethancourt. Guys, come on. Give me Christian Bethancourt. Common MLB The Show player. Alcantara has played great. NL Player of the Month. There's no playing yourself off the Yankees. Look at Volpe, McMahon, Wells, etc. Well, I don't think McMahon deserves to be off the Yankees. I'll just say that. But the other two, yeah, for sure. What am I laughing at? I'm laughing at Brian Cashman, man. We're under a minute now. This is bad. This is bad, guys. MLB Network has it at 1.5 minutes. Cashman's making a call right now. Trade alert! Trade alert! Trade alert! Oh, this is just the fucking Nathaniel Lowe shit. Like, come on, man. Well, that's going to do it. That's going to do it. There's no way he makes a move in 20 seconds, right? There's no way he makes a move. But I don't know. This has been a fail. This has been a fail by the management. This has been a fail by the ownership. It's all a fail. Bring me Gary Sanchez. Bring me somebody who I can trust to not hustle down the line. I mean, that's the situation that we're in right now. I just want any sort of offense from that catcher. I actually think, and let me know what you guys think about this, I do think that they're going to end up playing Rice at catcher more. We are officially past the deadline. We are officially past the trade deadline. It has come, it has gone. Let's see what moves trickle in here just at the end before we go. This is, if they really didn't make a trade, this is going to be one of the biggest mistakes, I think, of Cashman's tenure. To fail at getting a catcher, and maybe he couldn't. Maybe he offered for those guys, and it wasn't enough compared to the other teams. Maybe that was the situation. But I don't really care because I wanted to get somebody. This is bad. We're almost at 6:01 now. We've got nothing coming through. The trade deadline has come. The trade deadline has gone. Let's get Jeff Passan up here. See if anything's happening. Oh, man. That is rough. I'm in Marlins. Nathaniel Lowe. Jeff Hoffman. He really didn't break that much other than the school, honestly. Yeah, failure by the Yankees. Oh, Casey Mize to the Padres. That's interesting. Judge will be 38 the next time baseball's played. Yeah, that's another thing, right? Because you're not going to even get baseball next year, I wonder what happens with the contracts if they get pushed or if they get, I know they have the war chest, but is that to pay those guys through that season? Or is that going to be a different number? That'll be interesting to see. I'm pretty sure that it would just be to pay them their contracts through the season. We got a trade alert. This might be a big one. If it's the final, let's see. Kirby Yates to the Pirates. Needle mover, guys. The Pirates are buying Kirby Yates. Mine's to the Padres. It's a real move. I mean, the Padres, again, ever since they got Machado, they've been like slowly rising, slowly fading, slowly rising, slowly fading. Tatis. Oh, we got another trade alert. Yeah, they're all going to come in right now. Casey Mize to the Padres. Yeah, I feel like I'm a little delayed here on the MLB Network. That's what you get for buying Hulu. Not endorsed, not sponsored. All right, so if it is true that the Yankees did not make this move, where does that leave us at? That leaves us at major disappointment. I said it would be a C-. That's how I feel right now. It's probably worse than that if you ask most people. But to not address the main position of need is crazy at the trade deadline when you're the New York Yankees. I mean, if you're any team, it's crazy. But if you're the New York Yankees, at the top of, or second place in your division, trying to make a push for the postseason, trying to make a push for a World Series, when there's not going to be a fucking season next year, and you're not even making that move. It's a problem for me. It's a problem in my opinion. This has been one of the most disappointing trade deadlines that I can remember. As far as being a Yankee fan, I can't believe that has been the case. But again, the trade deadline has come, the trade deadline has gone. We're going to get a couple more moves that trickle in here. But again, thank you guys for tuning in so far. I really appreciate it. We got 9 people still in here right now. This, man, if I look at this as far as the season as a whole, right? The offense was so dire straits, and they did make additions to that. Heliot Ramos and Luis Garcia. So I can't be so upset about that. Like, they did make some improvements, but again, they didn't make the one improvement that they really needed, which is really disappointing, honestly, which is really disappointing to see that they've done that. I guess we'll let this go for a couple more minutes, and then when nothing ends up coming through because Cashman's a cuck, we'll see what the situation is. But yeah, this is really disappointing. I hope that you guys have at least enjoyed my coverage of this and my conversation on this trade deadline, because this stuff has been, on my mind, honestly, a lot. Obviously, the school bowl stuff, I wanted to talk about that early, so I appreciate you guys who are here for that. And there will be, obviously, clips of this stuff all over on the socials to look at. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok as well as the YouTube. But yeah, I would say, again, a C- for the Yankees. They obviously failed to get this move done. There were a plethora of catchers they could have gotten and they did not get the one guy that they needed, the one position to need. So a big fail by them. The reliever, it wasn't a major need. Their bullpen has been so good, so I'm not surprised that they didn't go and get somebody there. But when you trade away Duvall, I did expect them to get somebody in return for that. But I do think that, again, if we look at this progression of moves that they've made, it means that they're relying on Lombard coming up and him performing, because they're not going to have Volpe/Caballero, Wells, and McMahon be at the bottom of the lineup. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. That does not work on a postseason roster. So they're relying on Lombard coming up, and then just going to give him the burn and say, hey, you're going to be the guy. They're going to keep McMahon probably playing third, platooning with Rosario. And then the question is going to be, is it going to be Ben Rice at catcher? And that's really where you're going to, and then you'd have Stanton and Goldschmidt DHing. That's the situation that I see coming because they failed to make a move here again. But this has been Kenyon Middleton. Kenyon Middleton, is this accurate? Wow, this is a needle mover again. LaGrange, I mean, it depends on his health. I like him. His stuff is insane. The question is whether or not he ends up, panning out. I mean, they tried to move him to be a reliever and he got hurt. I don't love that. I do think he can contribute on there. I mean, when you throw 100, of course you can contribute, but it's going to be a lot. I mean, again, it's the same situation as Lombard. You bring him up and it's like, are you going to be that top tier, top echelon guy that we can trust and rely on? Are you going to just throw him into the fire like you did with Jabba Chamberlain? That's what you would expect them to do. And I don't know that necessarily is going to work, right? Similar to what the Mets did last year when they had to rely on all those guys they were bringing up to be starting pitchers. Like, it's just so much pressure, guys, to put on such a young roster. So I can't blame the Mets for failing last year. I would really not like to see the Yankees go in that direction again this year. But they did not get a middle infielder, so expect to see Lombard up in the coming weeks. Expect to see Ben Rice playing catcher. It's either that or the Yankees will not make the postseason, make a deep postseason run. That is where I'm seeing it happening. But yeah, I do think LaGrange probably gets called up. It's just a question of will he end up being on a postseason roster? And that's just a question of how he performs, right? But we have seen the trade deadline come and go. Any final questions you guys have, you can throw them in the chat here before we head off. But yeah, again, this has been an interesting trade deadline, a good one to cover, especially with the Scooble stuff and the, around the league it's been good. But I would just say I'm disappointed as a Yankee fan, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate to live with the reality that your general manager is content. He's content with, I have these guys who are making $30 million. I expect them to be, really good going forward and forever. But yeah, this is unfortunate, guys. But anyways, if you have anything left, you could toss it in the chat. And yeah, this has been kind of disappointing. Again, they made a couple moves, but not the moves that we needed them to make for them to really push into the postseason. But yeah, I'm gonna stay on live for the Yankee game. That's definitely what we want. So I can rage during that. That's good for my health. But yeah, I appreciate you guys coming out. And yeah, this has been disappointing, but again, this has been the Yankees trade deadline report. Trade deadline report around the league, honestly. Great stuff all around. Check us out on our socials, Instagram, TikTok, obviously here on the YouTube. Give us a little subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Deuces.